AITA for cutting off my family after they shut me out for not buying a vacation home? My name is Lauren Foster, and I am 38 years old. I arrived at my parents' 40th wedding anniversary party at exactly 6 in the evening, but at the front door my heart stopped. A handwritten sign read, "Welcome. Everyone is welcome, except Lauren." These were the people who were supposed to love me, excluding me for not buying them a vacation home. I didn't knock. I left my gift on the doormat, a gift that wasn't money but my freedom. I rang the doorbell and walked away. I heard the door open behind me, but for the first time I didn't look back. I truly believe you reap what you sow. I drove away with a strange mix of grief and liberation washing over me. By the time I got to my condo, my phone was blowing up. 6 missed calls from Mom, 4 from Dad. Text messages flooded the screen from my siblings, Todd and Megan. Mom's message popped up first. "It was just a joke. Come back." Then Dad's. "We need to talk about this." Todd was direct. "Are you overreacting?" And Megan. Of course Megan's was about money. "Mom says they need cash for dental work next month." I read every message with growing disbelief. Even now they didn't get it. Even now my family was asking for money. I blocked all their numbers without answering. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped out onto my balcony to watch the sunset. For the first time in years, I felt the weight of obligation lift from my shoulders. I was done being their personal ATM. I was done putting their needs above mine. I was completely done. Looking at the city lights, my mind went over the events of the last 3 weeks, trying to pinpoint the exact moment when everything had completely fractured. It had all started with a phone call. I didn't expect my mother's call to ruin my day, but that was exactly what it did. I am the marketing director for an international company called Prime Global Solutions. After my divorce from Mark last year, I had finally started to feel like my life was in order. My condo was paid off, my career was going smoothly, and for once I was focusing on myself. The phone rang while I was reviewing the quarterly projections. Mom's name appeared on the screen and I smiled. That smile vanished as soon as I answered. She didn't even say hello. Her voice sounded sharp and businesslike when she announced, "Lauren, your dad and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary in 3 weeks. We are going to have the party at the house because your Aunt Carol hates restaurants. We already decided what you are going to give us." I let out a heavy sigh, leaning back in my office chair. The last time they decided on a gift, it was an incredibly expensive trip to the Caribbean for Christmas. I spent over $5,000 on that vacation, telling myself they deserved it for supporting me through college. With my temple throbbing, I asked, "What is it this time, Mom?" Her tone was casual, as if she were asking for a box of chocolates. "A vacation home." I almost dropped the phone. "Excuse me, what?" I think I misheard. She repeated the words with a firm voice. "A vacation home. Your dad, Todd, Megan, and I talked about it. You make good money, you are single, and you already paid off your condo. You should buy us a vacation home where we can all rest. Your dad and I, Todd with his wife and kids, and Megan with her family." My younger siblings, Todd and Megan, had always been my parents' favorites. They married young, had kids right away, and somehow that made them more worthy of my parents' approval despite my professional achievements. I struggled to find words that weren't curse words. "Mom, that is a huge expense. I can't just buy a vacation home." She kept talking, completely ignoring my protest. "Well, we have already seen some properties. There is a nice one about an hour from the city." I spoke firmly, trying to regain control. "Mom, we need to talk about this in person. I will come over tomorrow afternoon." Her response was sharp. "There is nothing to talk about, Lauren. But if you want to talk, fine. Come around 6. She hung up before I could answer. I stared at the phone in disbelief, my hands shaking slightly. The audacity was staggering. They had simply decided that I should spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house for them without even consulting me. For the rest of the day, I couldn't focus on work. My mind kept going back to my family's expectations. I had always been generous with them, perhaps too generous. Every month, I sent $1,000 to my parents for utilities and groceries. I paid for Megan's children's preschool. Just last month, I had covered expensive medications for Todd's son, and I frequently helped them out with car repairs. The next day was no better. I spent the day rehearsing what I would say to them. Surely they would understand once I explained that buying a house was completely unrealistic. I left work early, my stomach tied in knots as I drove to my parents' house in the suburbs. When I arrived, I was surprised to see Todd's and Megan's cars already parked in the driveway. I wasn't expecting an ambush. Mom opened the door with a tense smile that didn't reach her eyes. Dad was in his recliner, barely nodding instead of giving his usual bear hug. Todd and Megan were on the couch, both looking at me expectantly. Trying to keep my voice light, I said, "Hi everyone. I thought we could talk about the anniversary gift." Mom motioned for me to sit in the armchair across from Dad. No one offered me a drink, nor did they ask how my day went. I started carefully. "Look, I have been thinking about the anniversary gift. I can chip in $25,000. If Todd and Megan pitch in what they can, we could buy you a new car, for example. Your sedan is getting pretty old." The silence that followed was deafening. Todd and Megan looked at each other. Finally, Todd spoke, his words a deliberate blow. "We can't contribute that kind of money. We have families and children unlike you." Megan nodded. "We already pooled our money for our gift. We agreed that you would be the one to buy the vacation home." Then she added, as if that made it better, "You would use it too, Lauren. You could go on weekends. It would be great." I tried to stay calm, speaking slowly. "I don't have the money for a vacation home." Mom suggested, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world, "You could get a mortgage. With your salary, you would easily get approved." I felt like I was in an absurd dream. Had my family always been such freeloaders? I stood up. "This conversation is going nowhere. I will decide for myself what gift I am giving. I have to go." No one tried to stop me as I walked to the door. On my way out, Mom yelled at me from behind with a cold, threatening voice. "You are going to regret this, Lauren." The drive back was a blur. When I got to my condo, I was shaking with rage. I made myself a strong peppermint tea and sat on my balcony trying to calm down. What had happened to my family? At what point did I become nothing more than a bank to them? The more I thought about it, the more I realized it wasn't something new. I had been funding their lifestyle for years, and they had gotten used to seeing it as normal. Now I was the selfish one for not buying them a house. The weeks following that disastrous meeting passed in absolute silence. There were no calls from Mom, no messages from Dad, not even the usual requests for money from Todd or Megan. At first, the silence was a relief. Then it started to unsettle me. Never in my adult life had so much time pass without my family asking me for something. Over lunch, my friend Rachel gave her opinion. "They are probably just giving you space. Or maybe they realized how unreasonable they were." I just toyed with my salad. "Have you met my family? This is the calm before the storm." As my parents' anniversary approached, I decided I would still give them something generous. Not a vacation home, obviously, but a $15,000 check seemed appropriate to me. They could use it for whatever they wanted, even as a down payment for that house if they really wanted it. The more I thought about it, the more I felt I was being reasonable. What wasn't reasonable was that I never received an invitation to the anniversary celebration. Not a text, not a call, not even a formal invitation in the mail. I knew when and where it would be. It was supposed to be at 6 in the evening at their house on the 18th, because they had mentioned it before. I assumed they were still expecting me to attend, invitation or not. Then, 2 days before the anniversary, my phone rang. It was Aunt Judy, my dad's cousin. We had always gotten along well, although we didn't talk much. Her voice sounded urgent. "Lauren, are you free for coffee this afternoon? I need to talk to you about something. How about the daily grind at 3? I arrived at the coffee shop early and ordered a cappuccino while I waited. Judy walked in a few minutes later, her expression serious as she sat across from me. She started bluntly. "I was at your parents' house yesterday. I heard something I think you should know." My stomach tightened. "What is it?" Judy leaned forward. "They are planning to humiliate you at the anniversary. They have moved the time of the celebration 2 hours earlier, to 4 in the afternoon instead of 6. Didn't they tell you? It is so you arrive late and find the door locked." I stared at her, completely forgetting my cappuccino. "You can't be serious." "I wish I were joking. Your mother was quite proud of the plan. Your siblings are in on it too." Judy shook her head. I told your dad I thought it was despicable, but he just said you deserve it for being selfish. I have decided not to go. I can't support that kind of behavior. My mind started racing. In a low voice I said, "Thank you for telling me. I really appreciate it." Judy asked, "What are you going to do?" I didn't know yet, but by the time I got home, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next day I called in sick to work. I needed time to prepare my response to my family's absurd plan. First, I logged into my online banking and canceled all the automatic transfers going to my parents' checking account. I printed the confirmations page by page. Then I put together a spreadsheet with every penny I had given my family over the past 5 years. The monthly transfers, the Caribbean vacations, Todd's car repairs, Megan's childcare expenses, the emergency medical bills I had covered. I printed out my bank transfer screenshots one by one, the receipts from the Caribbean trip, the invoices for Todd's car, and the tuition statements for Megan's children. The total surprised even me. It was over $60,000 in total. I found a beautiful gift box in my closet that I had saved from Christmas. I lined it with tissue paper and placed the printouts inside. Then I wrote a note. "Dear family, I had planned to give you $15,000 for your anniversary. Instead, I am giving you this, the complete end of my financial support. The attached documents show that I have already given you over $60,000 in recent years. I think that is enough. As of today, I am no longer going to fund your lifestyles. In fact, I am no longer going to be part of your lives at all. This is my gift to myself. Goodbye, Lauren." I folded the note, placed it on top of the printouts, and closed the box. I wrapped it in elegant silver paper and tied it with a blue ribbon. It looked beautiful. It was the perfect Trojan horse. And that brings me to the present moment on the actual day of the anniversary. Having just walked away from their cruel sign and their closed door, leaving that Trojan horse on the doormat of their house. The morning after my parents' anniversary, I woke up with a strange sense of calm. I expected to feel guilt or regret, but instead I felt lighter. Even so, I knew my family wasn't going to give up so easily. They would try to find ways to get to me, to pull me back into their orbit of financial dependency. I had to be prepared. First, I called the front desk of my building. "Good morning, Mike. This is Lauren from Unit 14B. I need to update the visitor list. My parents, my brother, and my sister are not to enter the building under any circumstances. Their names are Richard and Sharon Foster, Todd Foster, and Megan Becker." His voice was professional. "Of course. I will leave a note in the system and let the other staff know." Then I called my office security team and made the same request. After that, I emailed my boss, explaining that some relatives might try to cause trouble at work. Sarah had always been understanding, and her response was immediate. "Security will handle it. Let me know if you need anything else." By lunchtime, I had already blocked my family on all social media and changed my email settings so that any message arriving from their addresses would be automatically deleted. Seemed extreme, but it was necessary. I knew from experience how persistent they could be when money was involved. I wasn't wrong. That same afternoon, the front desk called me. "Miss Foster, your parents are here insisting they need to talk to you. I already told them about the restriction, but they are making quite a scene." I sighed. "Tell them that if they don't leave, you will call the police." 2 days later, Todd tried to enter my office building. Security turned him away. The next day, Megan showed up at my favorite coffee shop. She must have been watching me. I saw her before she saw me and left immediately. That night I talked to Rachel on the phone. They won't give up. It is like they believe that if they keep pushing, I will give in and support them again. Rachel replied, "The thing is, they probably do believe that. You have always ended up giving in." She was right. For years, whenever my family pressured me, I ended up caving, but this time it was different. The sign on the door had been a turning point, concrete proof that they saw me as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. A week after the anniversary, Aunt Judy called me. "I wanted you to know what is going on," she said. "Your mom is furious. She has been telling everyone that you abandoned the family. But some of us have noticed that she and your dad have started making certain adjustments." "What kind of adjustments?" I asked. "Your mom started working part-time at a store in the mall. It is the first time she has worked in 20 years, And your dad sold his golf club membership. I felt a pang of satisfaction. They were finally feeling the absence of my money. Todd and Megan are having a hard time too, Judy continued. Apparently, you helped them more than they had told the rest of the family. They were spreading rumors that you were supposed to buy them a vacation home. Judy laughed. Well, they dropped that narrative. Now they just say you abandoned them for no reason. I muttered. Of course they do. Just so you know, Judy added, I have told anyone who will listen exactly what happened. Most think they crossed the line. Thank you, Judy. You are the only one in the family I still want to talk to. After that call, my relatives started reaching out one by one. My cousin Kevin, my uncle Frank, even my grandmother, all with the same message. Your parents miss you, couldn't you work things out? I gave everyone the exact same answer. When they truly apologize and stop expecting me to fund their lives, we can talk about rebuilding the relationship. None of them called back. As the weeks turned into months, the attempts to contact me became less frequent. My family started to accept that I was serious when it came to my boundaries. Meanwhile, something unexpected was happening. I was finding out who I was without the constant drain of family obligations. With the extra money I was saving, I booked a 2-week vacation to Portugal, a place I had always wanted to visit but had never prioritized, mostly because my vacation money almost always ended up going toward helping my family. I took advantage of my accrued paid time off at work and an off-season package to make everything more affordable. I also signed up for a pottery workshop on Wednesday nights, something I had been interested in for years, but never had time for between work and family demands. Most significantly, I started dating someone again. After my divorce from Mark, I had convinced myself I was better off alone. The truth was I had been too busy taking care of my family to invest energy in my love life. I met Adam in the pottery class. He was terrible at making pots. His first attempt looked more like a deflated basketball than a bowl, but he made me laugh. After class, he asked if I wanted to grab a coffee. As we sat at a table in the cafe, he said with a smile, I have to warn you about something. I am not only bad at pottery, I am bad at almost everything artistic, but I keep trying new things anyway. I smiled. I admire that about you. I spent too many years not trying new things. Our coffee date turned into dinner. Dinner turned into weekend walks in the park. Soon we were seeing each other regularly. Adam was different from anyone I had dated before. He was thoughtful, independent, and completely uninterested in my money. He never asked me for anything but my time and attention. One night, about 3 months after I cut ties with my family, Adam and I were cooking dinner in my condo when my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I answered anyway. It was my mother. Hello, Lauren. It is Mom. I almost dropped the phone. She was probably calling from a friend's phone to bypass my blocks. My voice sounded cold as I said, I have nothing to say to you. I was about to hang up. Wait, please, just listen. We are going through a really hard time, Lauren. The utility bills are past due, and your dad's medications went up in price. We need your help. I closed my eyes, feeling that familiar, heavy pull of guilt. For a moment, I almost wavered. Mom, I spent years helping you, years, and you repaid me by demanding I buy you a vacation home and trying to humiliate me when I refused. I am done. Her voice cracked as she insisted. But we are family. Family helps each other. Yes, they help each other, I agreed. But it is a two-way street. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up and immediately blocked the new number. Adam looked at me with a questioning expression. Is everything okay? I took a deep breath. It will be. It was my mom. We are estranged. Do you want to talk about it? I surprised myself by nodding. Actually, I think I do. That night I told Adam everything. The vacation home, the attempt to humiliate me at the anniversary, the years of financial drain. He listened without interrupting, his expression a mix of disbelief and compassion. When I finished, he just said, I have never heard anything like it. They really expected you to buy them a house. I shook my head. And for me to take out the mortgage. Looking at it now, I realized they had been using me for years. I was too caught up in being the good daughter to see it. What are you going to do if they keep trying to contact you? I sighed, leaning back on the couch. Keep blocking them, I guess. I am not ready to let them back into my life. Maybe I never will be. Over the next few weeks, my mother tried calling me from 3 more unknown numbers. Each time I hung up and blocked them. My father sent a letter to my office, which I returned unopened. Todd showed up one night at my pottery class. He must have followed me, but I slipped out the back before he could approach. Each attempted contact only strengthened my resolve. During my monthly performance review meeting at work, Sarah commented, "I notice you are different lately. You are more focused, more confident. Whatever changes you have made in your personal life are clearly reflecting in your work." She was right. Without the constant stress of family demands, I was flourishing professionally. My team had just landed 2 major accounts, and they were officially considering me for a promotion to Vice President of Marketing. "I made some tough but necessary decisions," I told her. "I set boundaries I had been putting off for years." She nodded approvingly. "Well, keep it up. The executive committee has definitely noticed." 6 months after cutting ties with my family, I took Adam to Portugal with me. We spent 2 glorious weeks exploring historic cities, relaxing on the beach, and eating incredible food. I didn't check my work email a single time. I didn't worry about any emergencies that might be happening back home. I was totally present, fully immersed in the experience. As we walked along the beach under a sky full of stars, I realized I was genuinely happy. I wasn't just momentarily pleased or content for a little while, but deeply fundamentally happy. I had broken free from the toxic dynamic that had defined much of my adult life, and in doing so I had finally discovered who I truly was. Upon returning home, a familiar anxiety began to creep in. My parents' attempts to contact me had decreased, but they hadn't disappeared entirely. I was always living a little on edge, waiting for the next ambush, the next attempt at emotional blackmail. During brunch one Sunday, Rachel suggested, "You really need to talk about this with a professional. A therapist could help you process everything and move forward." First, I was skeptical. I had always prided myself on being self-sufficient, on solving my own problems. But Rachel insisted, and in the end I made an appointment with a psychologist she recommended. Dr. Evans was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a direct communication style that immediately put me at ease. In our first session, I found myself telling her absolutely everything. Not just about the vacation home, but the years of feeling like I was never enough, that I never did enough for my family. After listening carefully, she said, "What you are describing is financial abuse. Your family was exploiting you financially, and when you refused to meet their increasingly irrational demands, they tried to punish you emotionally." I repeated the term in surprise. Financial abuse. I thought that only happened in marriages. "It can happen in any relationship where there is a power dynamic," she explained. "In your case, they played on your guilt and your need for approval to extract financial resources from you." Something clicked inside me as she spoke. I wasn't being selfish by cutting off their money. I was protecting myself from abuse. Over the next few months, therapy helped me process my guilt and my anger. I learned to recognize the manipulation tactics my family had used and began to understand why I had been so vulnerable to them. Most importantly, I understood that I didn't have to feel responsible for my family's financial well-being. They were adults who had made their own decisions. About a year after I distanced myself from them, Aunt Judy called with news. "Your mom quit her job at the mall," she told me. "Your dad fixed the old sedan instead of buying a new one. Todd moved into a smaller apartment, and Megan's husband took on a second job. Are they still talking badly about me to everyone?" I asked. Judy hesitated. "Less than before. I think they are starting to realize exactly how much they depended on you. Your mom even admitted to me that asking for the vacation home was maybe too much." I let out a chuckle of disbelief. "Maybe. That is not an apology," Judy acknowledged, "but it is the closest thing to one I have heard from her." I didn't respond immediately to that information. I just let it sink in. I discussed it with Dr. Evans in our next session. She asked, "Do you want to have a relationship with them again?" I thought about it carefully. Not yet. Maybe never the way it was before. If they truly apologized and respected my boundaries from now on, I might consider limited contact. But I am not going to be their ATM ever again. She nodded, satisfied. That sounds like a very healthy stance. That night, Adam and I were out on my balcony watching the city lights come on as evening fell. We had been dating for almost 9 months, and lately he had brought some of his things over to my condo. It wasn't officially moving in together yet, but we were definitely heading in that direction. I told him, "My aunt says my family is struggling to adjust to life without my financial support." He asked, "And how do you feel about that?" I took a sip of wine, thinking it over. Vindicated, honestly. They took me for granted for so long. Now they are discovering that actions have consequences. And if they apologize, if they seriously try to make amends, I don't know, I admitted. I don't know if I could ever trust them again. But I have learned something important this year. I don't have to decide everything right now. I can take my time and see how I feel as more time passes. Adam smiled, gently squeezing my hand. That is the Lauren I know and love. The one who takes care of herself first. Love. He said it naturally, but the word hung warmly in the air between us. I smiled back, feeling that deep happiness surface again. I love you too, I said softly. Looking out at the city skyline, I felt completely at peace with my choices. I had set boundaries, protected myself from those who drained me, and created space for true love and connection. My bank account was healthier, yes, but more importantly, so was my heart. Comment. Setting boundaries with the people we love is often one of the hardest things we have to do in life. It takes immense courage to realize that your value is not defined by what you can constantly provide for others. True family and genuine relationships should be built on mutual respect and care, not on obligation or financial pressure. Walking away from toxic dynamics does not make you a bad person. Sometimes, choosing your own peace of mind is the most necessary act of self-love you can practice. I hope this serves as a reminder that it is perfectly okay to say no when a situation drains your spirit. Protecting your energy allows you to show up more authentically for the people who truly appreciate you. Take a moment today to reflect on your relationships and ensure you are treating yourself with the kindness you deserve. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.